That's not a glitch, Dad. Someone's hijacking the system. Maya Williams' voice didn't quiver. It was sharp, too sharp for a 12-year-old, holding a mop in one hand and staring at a flickering red warning screen in the quiet corridors of High-End Systems' West Wing. Earl Williams. Her father was on one knee, scrubbing the dried outline of a coffee spill off the company's polished marble tile. He didn't look up. You're seeing ghosts again, Maya. That's just a maintenance screen. They always flash red when they reboot. But Maya didn't blink. The hallway lights cast long shadows across the reflective floor. High-End Systems defense contractor, tech leader, government supplier was supposed to be empty at 5:48 a.m. Only janitorial access had been scheduled. Earl brought Maya sometimes on these early shifts. She was quiet, respectful, and never wandered far, always buried in her digital notepad or staring curiously at walls of blinking servers. Most days she was his ghost, barely there. But not today. Her mop clattered to the floor. The echo was sharp in the silence. Maya stepped closer to the service rack. Her eyes narrowed at the blacked-out monitor mounted near the base of the cooling unit. The screen flickered again, static, then scrolling lines of red code cascading down like blood rain. "This isn't routine," she whispered. "That's an active tunnel." Earl straightened slowly. His joints ached more these days. "What's a tunnel, sweet pea?" Her small finger pointed at a rapidly refreshing line of code. /trace.route.hyon.12-core/bypass-auth.enabled. She didn't answer him. Instead, she said something that made his stomach twist. "They're using a 0-day custom key set. Whoever this is, they're not supposed to be here, and they're good." A door slammed far off, maybe from the main executive hallway. Earl looked toward it reflexively, but Maya didn't even flinch. She was locked in, her whole body tilted forward, reading the attack like it was a comic strip. "You're not even supposed to know those words," he muttered. Her voice stayed calm. "I know the system. I've been studying it since last year. I cloned the core model on my tablet. Their weak points aren't patched." He stared at her, really stared. A rag still in one hand, cleaner bottle in the other. His uniform read facilities support, but the sweat on his brow wasn't from cleaning floors anymore. "I thought you just liked watching the lights blink." She finally looked up. Her eyes weren't scared. "No, Dad. I liked watching how they blink. Patterns. That's how I found the breach by the rhythm. It skipped." Another long beep echoed from the monitor, one Earl recognized now as urgent. "Access request granted." "From an external IP? Maya, I need you to stop. This is serious." "You're just a kid. That's the problem," she cut in. "Everyone thinks that." Her tone wasn't angry, just final. Like a puzzle piece snapping into place. Footsteps. Fast ones. Expensive shoes on tile. A man rounded the corner, panting, suit half wrinkled like he dressed in a hurry. It was Nathan Caro, CEO of High-End Systems. His eyes widened when he saw Earl, then froze when they landed on Maya. "What are you doing here?" he barked. "This wing was supposed to be sealed. No one should be." "The system's crashing," Maya said flatly. "And it's not random. Someone's hacking you." Nathan blinked, stunned. Earl raised a hand. "Mr. Caro, this is my daughter. We just saw something strange, figured we'd call it in." "She's 12, Caro snapped. "She doesn't even belong near this equipment. I'll have security drag both of you out." "Drag us out," Maya interrupted, "and your entire server cluster goes dark in under 6 minutes. Caro's jaw twitched. "Excuse me?" She pointed again, this time at a final message appearing on screen. "Root auth override initialized. Purging backups in 360 seconds. And at that moment, Earl saw it. Not arrogance, not chaos, fear, on Caro's face. The man who controlled $1 billion tech empire just realized someone else was holding the leash. Maya took a single step forward. "Let me stop it," she said. "Or watch it all burn. Your call." Caro's lips parted, but no sound came out, and then came Maya's final, quiet line, one that didn't sound like a child's at all. "Sometimes the janitor's kid knows where the bodies are buried." Caro's hand shook as he pulled out his cum device. His voice cracked. "Security. Emergency override level 3 breach. Get me Reynolds, now." Maya didn't look at him. Her eyes stayed fixed on the code racing across the screen. "Too late for Reynolds," she murmured. "They're inside the root access node. Every second you stall, it gets worse." Earl looked between the two, his daughter standing motionless, almost whispering into the blinking void, and Caro breathing too fast for a man used to controlling. "Just listen to her," Earl said quietly. "She knows this system like the back of her hand." Caro turned, furious. "She's a child. She's a Williams," Earl said evenly. "And that name used to mean something in tech, before you built it." The silence that followed hit harder than the alarm now beginning to echo from deep within the data center. Maya's small fingers moved to the interface panel. No hesitation. "What are you doing?" Caro barked, lunging forward. She didn't flinch, triggering the whispered protocol. That stopped him cold. His mouth worked for words, but only one came. "Out. How?" Maya tilted her head. "It's buried in your hardware layer, activated by motion capture inside the cooling grid." She tapped 3 times in rhythm. A soft beep followed. Then a deep thrumming sound began to vibrate through the floor. From somewhere behind the panels, physical locks clicked into place. Ventilation shifted. Lights dimmed to soft amber. Earl stepped back, instinctively holding Maya's shoulder. "What the hell is the whispered protocol?" Caro stared at her, suddenly pale. "It was theoretical," he whispered. "Fail-safe system created during the first NSA collaboration. Supposedly impossible to activate without admin-level biometric keys." "Supposedly," Maya repeated, finally turning to look at him. "Until you gave me root access by mistake. Last year, remember that janitor access panel in the south wing? You read that? I rewrote it." Caro stumbled back like she'd slapped him. The cum in his hand buzzed. "Sir, Reynolds here. We've got multiple systems in lockdown. All remote access is frozen. Mainframes aren't responding to admin override." Maya answered for him. "Because they're under a dynamic echo trap now. The only path left is internal repair manually, which takes, about 3 hours." "You shut down the company," Caro breathed. "You're 12. She walked slowly toward the central hub, hands laced behind her back. The calm in her movement was almost too much to bear. "I didn't shut it down," she said softly. "I gave it a chance to survive. Someone was about to burn it to the ground." She stopped in front of a second monitor. "And I can tell you who." Caro started, his voice hollow. "You found them?" "I watched them build the back door. Over 6 months. From the sandbox node, I left it open to track them." Her tone darkened. "They were copying defense contracts. Selling the code." Earl's eyes widened. "Jesus." Caro's knees buckled slightly as he sank into a nearby chair. "How? How didn't our team catch this?" Maya didn't answer. Instead, she looked at the screen one last time and said, "They didn't want to." Then she reached into her backpack and pulled out a USB key. System log, full trace. Every transfer. Every keystroke. GPS pings. Audio snippets. She set it gently on the desk beside Caro. "You'll do the right thing with this, or the next place I walk into is a federal building." He blinked, looking at the drive like it might explode. "And who, exactly, are you?" Maya finally smiled. "I'm just the janitor's daughter." and as she turned and walked away, mop in hand, ponytail swaying slightly with each step, Earl followed silently, one hand on her back, heart pounding like a war drum. Behind them, Caro remained seated in the glow of the screens, face drained of color, surrounded by billions in tech. And completely outmatched. The boardroom at High-End Systems was a cold, polished arena. 12 leather chairs circled a glass table lit by a massive skylight that hadn't let in real sunlight in years. Artificial lumens mimicked day and illusion. Like most of what this company had become, Nathan Caro stood at the head, arms crossed, jaw tight. Behind him, a frozen projection. System lockdown, internal breach protocol. He cleared his throat. Let's begin. The murmurs stopped. The board of directors' faces lined with money, age, and legacy stared back. Someone tunneled into our core servers at 5:48 a.m., Caro began. Security didn't detect the breach. We were exposed for nearly 40 minutes before the whispered protocol sealed the system. Whispers broke out. A gray-haired man in a Navy suit leaned forward. I thought that protocol was theoretical. So did I, Caro replied, until someone triggered it. Another voice, sharper Karen Liu, CFO, who? Caro glanced toward the door. It wasn't IT. It wasn't legal. There wasn't anyone on this floor. The boardroom fell still. Then the door opened. Earl walked in first, head down. Then Maya Small. Calm, steady. She clutched her notebook. Her eyes scanned every face like she was reading code. Murmurs again. A janitor? A child? Caro raised a hand. She's the one who caught the breach. And the one who stopped it. Gasps. A chuckle broke the tension, sarcastic, dismissive. You brought in a child to brief the board? Sneered Hargrave, lead tech advisor. Have we fallen that far? Maya stepped forward, unfazed. You fell further when you let your people sell classified schematics to foreign buyers, she said. I just helped you notice. The room recoiled. What did you just say? Hargrave barked. She placed her notebook on the table, opened it, and pressed play on a short audio. Clip. Hargrave's voice filled the room, distorted slightly by a mic feed. Push the export by Tuesday. The back door won't hold much longer. Security's been sniffing around. Silence. Absolute, weaponized silence. Karen Liu's face drained. You recorded that? I recorded everything, Maya said. Voice, transfers, access logs. You can try to deny it, but your signature is on every packet. Caro finally spoke. She caught it because she's been mapping our vulnerabilities for nearly a year. In her spare time, another board member blinked. Why would a kid even know how to do that? Earl finally raised his voice. Because her mother helped design the encryption framework this company still uses. Before she passed, she taught Maya everything she knew. And when Hein let her go for being redundant, well, my daughter decided to prove she wasn't. Maya locked eyes with Hargrave. You fired my mom and erased her credentials. Then used her work to build the exploit. I recognized your tweaks the moment I saw them. You didn't understand her code. But I did. Hargrave shot up, eyes wide. This is a setup. Karen Liu slammed her fist on the table. Enough. Security. Entered the room silent, firm. Hargrave backed toward the window, but 2 guards stepped in his path. I want a forensic audit now, Karen barked. Every email, every call. You sit in this boardroom and sell out the very system you were paid to protect? As Hargrave was escorted out, Maya turned to the others. The data trail is long. He wasn't alone, but he was first. The rest of the board stared at her like she was a ghost. What's your name, young lady? Someone asked softly. She looked him dead in the eye. Maya Williams, daughter of Regina Williams. And I know exactly what kind of company you built here. Karen exhaled, almost broken, and we had to wait for a janitor's daughter to clean it up. Maya didn't respond. She simply picked up her notebook and walked out, leaving the boardroom colder than when she entered. 3 hours later, Maya sat alone in a frosted glass conference room on the 47th floor. She still wore her hoodie and sneakers. Her backpack rested on the table. Outside, the skyline of the city glowed in the foggy morning light. Inside, silence died until the door opened. He stepped in slowly polished shoes, silver cufflinks, a dark navy suit cut sharp as glass. His name was Langston Greer, lead investor in high-end systems. Quiet, deadly, precise. The kind of man who didn't waste meetings. He didn't sit right away. Just stood, observing her. "You're a remarkable girl," he said finally. Maya blinked once. "You read every line of our source logs," he continued. "Mapped attack vectors, tracked internal corruption, activated a protocol even our top engineers never bothered to finish." He paused, lowering his voice. "You scared the hell out of us." Maya didn't flinch. "Good." Greer finally smiled. "Not warm strategic. Would you like a job, Miss Williams?" She tilted her head. "I'm 12. You'd be surprised how little that matters in our world." She folded her arms. "Yours maybe, not mine." He slid a folder across the table. Maya didn't touch it. "It's a contract. Junior developer. Private mentorship. 6 figures a year. You'd work remotely. With full access." Maya stared at him. "You want to own me." His smile faltered. "No, I want to sponsor brilliance. Shape it. We're not all villains here." "Then why'd you wait until now?" Greer's eyes narrowed. "I didn't know you existed until this morning." "You knew my mother existed." That hit. He didn't answer. Maya leaned forward, voice still quiet. "You buried her patent filings, rewrote her algorithm under male engineers' names, then fired her without cause." Greer's face stayed neutral. "I wasn't part of that decision." "But you profited from it." He said nothing. She pushed the folder gently back toward him. "I don't need your job. I already have purpose." "And what is that?" She stood up. "Cleaning up messes rich men make." Greer's nostrils flared. "Don't make enemies so young." "I didn't," Maya said. "You just volunteered." She slung her backpack over one shoulder and turned for the door. But before she left, she stopped and glanced over her shoulder. "Tell the board if they want my help cleaning the rest. It won't come through offers. It'll come through change." Then she left the room. Greer sat alone. The offer is still on the table, unopened, the janitorial locker. Room never had much heat. Pipes rattled overhead, paint peeled along the baseboards, and the vending machine had been out of order since November. Earl sat on the bench in silence, still wearing his overalls. His gloves dangled from his back pocket, and his hands were folded tight. He didn't speak as Maya walked in. "You okay?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Just thinking, this place. What it really is." Maya sat beside him. "It's built on people like you. It just pretends otherwise." From the hallway came faint footsteps. 2 men in high-end maintenance gear peeked through the cracked door, nodding at Earl, then at Maya. They didn't say anything. She looked up. "They know?" Earl shrugged. "Rumors are louder than sirens in places like this. Words travelin' fast." Another worker walked by outside, slower this time. A second later, someone else appeared. They didn't speak either, but they looked in. One gave a respectful nod. Maya frowned. "Why are they looking at me like that?" Earl looked at his daughter with quiet pride. "'Cause for once, someone down here punched me and hit." She looked back at the hallway. The floor they worked on, the bottom floor, had always been invisible to the upper levels. No one from IT or sales came here unless something broke. Even then, they rarely made eye contact, but now eyes were looking for her. And they weren't mocking. They were watching. A slow clap started outside. One person, then two, then four. Maya froze. Earl stood, walked to the door, and opened it. Down the hallway, nearly every janitor, floor tech, overnight cleaner, and stockroom worker stood in line, silent, waiting. Then one of them, an older woman, with gray in her braids, stepped forward. "You hers?" she asked Earl. He nodded. "Yeah." She looked at Maya, then back to Earl. "You raised her right." Then she turned and walked away. The rest followed. No applause, no cheering. Just presence, like a procession. Quiet, deliberate respect. Earl exhaled slowly. His voice was low. Your mom would have been proud. Maya whispered, "She taught me to listen where no one else does." They both sat again. After a moment, Earl said, "You know you changed." "Something, right?" Maya didn't answer immediately. Her eyes were still on the hallway. "No," she said finally. "I reminded them who's watching." He looked over. "Who?" "The ghosts in the walls." The overlooked. "The people they think are nothing. The ones who clean up after their lies." Earl let out a slow, broken chuckle. "Well, damn, girl. Sounds like you've been watching a long time." Maya's face didn't change. Long enough. From somewhere above, the intercom crackled. Maya Williams to the executive floor. Maya Williams, executive floor. She sighed. "Back to the clouds," she muttered. Earl picked up his mop. "Don't let him change you." She turned to him at the doorway. "I won't." Then she vanished back into the echoing halls, leaving behind the only floor that ever saw her clearly. The elevator ride felt longer this time. Maya stood alone inside the mirrored capsule, watching her reflection blur as floors ticked by. 32, 33, 34. By the time she reached 45, her hoodie felt too thin, too exposed. The doors slid open. Waiting for her were two men in suits, tall, identical posture, earpieces coiled behind their ears. "Miss Williams," one said with a cold smile. "This way." She didn't respond, just followed down the long glass corridor. Everything looked the same. Polished floors, spotless windows, artificial lighting pretending to be sunlight. But it felt different, like everyone was pretending nothing had happened when everything had. They reached a darkened boardroom. This wasn't the one from earlier. It was smaller, quieter, deadlier. Inside, 5 people sat in the shadows, none of them board members. One was a federal liaison. Another was internal counsel. 2 more were cyber investigators from government, defense, and one Maya noticed had no ID badge at all. Greer was there too, arms folded, watching. The badgeless woman finally spoke. "You've caused quite a stir, Miss Williams." Maya raised her chin. "By stopping your system from collapsing? By revealing more than you should have known?" The woman leaned forward. Her face was sharp, ageless, surgical. "You're not supposed to have access to whispered protocol. You're not supposed to have backdoor logs. You're not supposed to exist in our system footprint." Maya said nothing. The woman continued. "You are 12. Not a whistleblower. Not an employee. Not authorized. That makes you a liability." Maya tilted her head. "To who?" The woman's eyes narrowed. Greer finally spoke, tone low. "You embarrassed people, Maya, publicly, powerful ones. There are consequences." "I didn't leak anything." "You could." The woman snapped. Maya's fingers drummed once on her notebook. "And you could lose more than data if this ever went public." Silence. The liaison cleared his throat. "Look, we all appreciate what you did. But you need to understand, companies like this don't survive scandals. Not with defense contracts. Not with political eyes watching. So fix it, Maya said. We will, internally. That's the problem, she replied. You want to erase what happened. I want to prevent it from happening again. Greer sighed, then slid another folder across the table. This one was thicker. Maya didn't open it. You really like handing me papers, don't you? It's a confidentiality agreement, Greer said. Sign it, and this all disappears. You'll get a scholarship, a position later. Your name won't be mentioned anywhere. And if I don't? The room darkened. The woman spoke again. Then we make you disappear. Not violently, bureaucratically. Your school gets pressure. Your dad loses his job. Your future gets locked behind doors you never knew existed. Maya stood slowly. Funny thing about doors, she said, her voice now colder than theirs. They only stay locked when no one's watching. The woman blinked. Is that a threat? No, Maya said. It's true. And you're scared. Of it. Greer leaned back, eyes unreadable. You're not like other kids, Maya nodded, and that terrifies you. Then she turned to the exit. Tell your lawyers to revise the contract. I'll write the terms this time. Before anyone could respond, she was gone. The badgeless woman leaned toward Greer. She's a problem. Greer didn't blink. No, she's a storm, and it's already here. The footage was exactly 94 seconds long. No voiceover. No face. Just code scrolling down a black screen and glowing white lines, followed by security footage of the server corridor, time-stamped 5:48 a.m. Then, the whispered protocol activation. The door locking behind Maya. The digital heartbeat of a system shutting itself down. At the 60-second mark, a message appeared on screen. I am 12 years old. My name is Maya Williams. I stopped them before they erased you. Then silence. It was uploaded anonymously. And by noon, it had 3 million views. Cyber forums lit up. White hat hackers traced the system exploit in the clip and confirmed it was real. Government contractors panicked. News outlets begged for interviews. Nobody knew who she really was, but everybody knew what she had done. Earl was the first to see it on a janitor's phone. Word traveled fast again, except this time, it wasn't a whisper. It was a broadcast. At high-end systems. Caro stood frozen in his office, staring at the screen. Karen Liu stormed in seconds later. We have 5 major clients calling nonstop. 3 want written proof our systems are secure. 1 wants to terminate. Caro turned slowly. She said she wouldn't go public. She didn't, Karen replied. There's no breach, no confidential files, just truth. Greer entered behind them, silent. She warned us. Caro nearly shouted, she embarrassed us. Greer replied calmly, we embarrassed ourselves. She just turned the lights on. In the downstairs locker room, Earl sat beside Maya again, phone in hand. Was that smart? He asked. Maya shrugged. Was it wrong? He sighed. No, but now they can't ignore you. They already couldn't. Now they can't pretend. Upstairs, chaos rippled. The boardroom reconvened in silence. The legal team tried to find loopholes. None existed. The PR team drafted a statement. Maya intercepted it. In a single email sent to everyone in high-end systems, every floor. Every department. She rewrote it. Integrity isn't an internal memo. It's what you do when no one's watching. Except someone always is. Maya Williams, the internal network, went silent. Then, one by one, employees began replying. Thank you. We saw it too. Finally, someone said it. In less than an hour, over 200 anonymous replies filled the system. Even HR couldn't stop it. On the lower floors, Maya became more than just Earl's daughter. She became a myth, a whisper with teeth, A 12-year-old who'd done what grown adults couldn't or wouldn't. Upstairs. Greer stood by the window as the skyline dimmed. They're calling her the ghost of Hyan. Karan muttered, she's not a ghost, she's a spotlight. And from the maintenance wing, Maya sat quietly at a folding table, pencil in hand, drawing a map of every system flaw she hadn't exposed yet. Not to destroy them, not to remind them. She still could, because power wasn't in what she knew. The first resignation came before sunrise. Harold Brinks, head of internal cybersecurity, submitted a short, cold letter with no excuses. No goodbyes. By 9 a.m., 3 more followed. Legal. HR compliance. External communications. By noon, the high-end systems employee portal displayed a quiet banner in the top corner. Organizational changes are underway. We thank you for your patience. No one believed the calm tone. Everyone knew why. Screens throughout. The building flickered with headlines from outside news outlets. Anonymous hacker stops internal breach at defense giant. Who is the girl behind the shutdown? Systemic failure or child prodigy? Inside high-end systems nightmare. The company was bleeding credibility. And the janitor's daughter hadn't said another word. Maya walked calmly through the main hallway that day. No hoodie. Just a white t-shirt and her worn sneakers. People stared, whispered, moved aside, not in fear, but in something stranger. Respect. She passed a cluster of senior developers huddled near a vending machine. One of them tried to look away, then nodded once, awkwardly. Maya said nothing. She didn't need to anymore. Earl waited for her at the freight elevator. Guess who just stepped down? She raised a brow. Karen Liu? Maya's eyes narrowed. Voluntarily? They say it was? You know better? I know people don't quit power unless they're told. Earl chuckled. Well, someone's telling real loud now. They rode the elevator up, just the two of them. But at every floor it stopped, more staff peeked in and chose not to enter. Maya had become something else. Not a threat. A mirror. In the executive wing. Caro was sweating through his collar as he sat behind a desk stacked with shredded policies and half-written press releases. He looked up when Maya and Earl entered. No invitation this time. You shouldn't be here, Caro said. But it lacked force. Maya calmly walked to his desk and slid a small packet forward. It wasn't code. It was paper. Typed. Caro read it once, then twice. His hands shook slightly. What is this? He asked. Reforms, she said. Minimum wage for support staff. Internal whistleblower protection. Full credit restoration to original software designers. Open access logs for internal oversight. His voice cracked. You think you can demand this? I don't have to demand it, she said. You either sign it or I post it. Caro stared at her like he was looking at the end of his career, because he was. Why are you doing this? He asked, almost whispering. I don't want to destroy your company, Maya said. Then what do you want? She leaned forward. To prove a janitor's daughter was always more trustworthy than the men in suits. Earl placed a quiet hand on her shoulder. Caro didn't speak. He just reached for the pen. Behind them, Greer stepped in, watching from the door. Smart move, he said dryly. Sign it while you still have hands. Caro scrawled his signature. Defeated. Maya turned without a smile. She wasn't here for victory. She was here for change. As they exited the office, Greer walked beside them. I underestimated you, he said. No, Maya replied. You ignored me. That's worse. He gave a small nod. Noted. Downstairs, the intercom buzzed. All staff. Mandatory meeting in the main auditorium. New policy updates effective immediately. Earl looked down at her. You really rewrote the place? Maya's voice was soft now. No, I just erased the parts that never belonged. The keycard felt heavier than it should have. It slid through the sensor on the basement door with a dull beep. The red light turned green. Maya stepped inside slowly. The room smelled like dust, copper, and forgotten heat. No one had entered in years. Old servers lined the walls, silent, dormant, humming only with ghosts. Earl followed behind her. He hadn't spoken since Caro's signature. They both stopped at the center of the room. The lights flickered on, and there it was. Her mother's name. R. Williams DevNode 07, printed in faded letters on an old console tucked into the back corner. Maya walked toward it. She pressed the power button. It groaned awake. Fan sputtering, then whirred with faint life. The screen blinked once. Then green code poured onto black. A password prompt appeared. She typed, Regina 2020 access granted. The desktop appeared, untouched since the day her mother was terminated. Folders labeled Core Truth, Integrity Layer, Ghost Fork, Maya. Open the first one. Inside blueprints, algorithms, notes written in Regina's old shorthand. Security ideas years ahead of their time. Maya recognized half the code instantly, not because she'd seen it before, but because it lived inside her. I think she built the whispered protocol. Maya whispered. Earl nodded slowly. Wouldn't surprise me. She didn't just design it, she buried it. She opened another folder. This one labeled, they took IT inside emails, drafts, screenshots, timestamped messages, all showing how her mother's contributions were stripped, reassigned, and buried under male engineers' names. And one voice memo. Maya clicked it. Her mother's voice filled the room. If you're hearing this, they found a way to push me out. I knew they would. But I left markers, breadcrumbs, and if you're smart enough to follow them, then you're smart enough to finish what I started. Don't burn it down, baby. Just remind them who built it. Maya stood frozen. Earl wiped his face quietly. She left this for you. Maya whispered. She knew I'd find it. And suddenly, the fire in her chest wasn't anger anymore. It belonged. She sat at the console and began copying files. Not to expose. To preserve. To make sure her mother's name was restored, not just in code history, but in every room they once pretended she never entered. As she worked, a soft light shone through the server vent. Dust floated like particles of memory. The room didn't feel abandoned anymore. It felt like someone was watching. Helping. Earl stood in the doorway, silent. Finally, Maya turned to him. Can we go home? He nodded. As they walked out, she glanced back once. The screen still glowed softly. And the door shut behind them for the last time. 6 weeks later, Maya walked through the lobby of High-End Systems with a mop in hand. No cameras followed her. No press waited outside. And yet, every person she passed looked up. Not in shock anymore. In quiet respect. The janitor's daughter was still cleaned. Not because she had to, but because she never stopped watching. A new sign had been mounted behind the reception desk, right above the rotating digital display of employee spotlights. It read, Integrity is built in silence. Regina Williams. Maya hadn't asked them to add it. They just did. A mural now spanned the west hallway. Abstract code lines wrapped around the silhouette of a woman's face. Eyes closed, peaceful. Beneath it, in honor of those who see the flaws before the collapse. Maya sometimes stopped to stare at it, not because she needed the recognition, but because someone else finally got it. Upstairs, Greer stood in the glass boardroom watching the scene below. He'd stepped down as executive partner, but he still advised quietly. He no longer tried to control the future, he just tried to listen to it. And today, that future was holding a mop and humming softly while floor wax dried. In the break room, Earl drank lukewarm coffee, chuckling as a junior tech tried to show him how to use a digital locker key. You know, he said. I used to just break the lock when it got stuck. Maya passed by, overhearing. You still do, she said with a smirk. He grinned. You still track the admin firewall? She winked. Every night. Outside, news headlines had changed. No more anonymous myths. Now the world knew her name, not as a hacker, not as a rebel, but as a reformer. Girl who rewrote the rules not by taking power but by never bowing to it. Maya sat on the building steps. At noon, watching workers leave for lunch. One of them, a junior developer, stopped. You're her, aren't you? Maya didn't answer. The woman reached into her bag and pulled out a printed quote. It read, Don't burn it down. Just remind them who built it. Maya nodded once. My mom said that. The woman smiled. Changed how I work. She left. Maya looked up. The sun caught the edge of the glass tower, bouncing off the letters. High on systems. Underneath, a new plaque had been added. Rebuilt in truth, not erased. Maya stood. She picked up her mop, slung her backpack on, and walked down the steps. The world hadn't crowned her. It reminded me of her, and that was enough.